Hi guys, and welcome to the Sunderland vs Lincoln match review. So, I didn't make a review last night for one reason and one reason only. I was legitimately fuming. I was absolutely furious after that game, and I didn't really want to give you just a sort of 3-4 minute ranting match of me just screaming and swearing and then just running away from the camera, because that is what it would have been. I was genuinely that angry. I was absolutely livid yesterday evening, last night. But of course we did lose by 3-1. Firstly, fair play to Lincoln. Their game plan, they nailed it to an absolute T. Absolutely nailed it. They come to the stage mark. They sat behind the ball, played on the counter-attack, and pretty much every counter-attack they got, they scored it. And as for us, dear me, that was absolutely frigging horrendous. It was utterly atrocious. And the thing that worries me the most, it's not even just the scoreline. If we were playing like we had done in recent weeks, particularly at home, making chances, being fluid in the final third, but it just wasn't quite going our way, then I'd be a lot more understanding, and generally I'd like to think I am a lot more understanding, or I am understanding when we do lose games, or we might not win games, but we're creating chances and we look like, or at least you can tell what we're trying to do. But last night, the contrast in recent performance, or from recent performances should I say, was absolutely black and white. It was horrendous. It was so bad, and that's a shocking thing that we can just out of nowhere dish out a performance like that. I mean, we can give the lads excuses, playing a lot of games, but as are other teams, there's been times, over the years, and in recent seasons anyway, we need to get used to playing on a Saturday than a Tuesday. We do this all the time. We've been doing this all season. It's not it's not abnormal to do that. Granted, we've played a lot of games in general, but it isn't an absolute abnormality. And for me, that isn't an excuse to, for them to dish out the performance that they did, because it really was god-awful. One of the worst performances so far this season. I think the worst for us was probably Rotherham. But aside of that, in terms of not just result but performance, it was definitely up there. It was absolutely up there. But, the starting 11, we did have Patterson in goal. Across the back, we had Sirkin, we had Flano, we had Doyle, and we had Winchester. And then we had Gooch, we had Embleton, we had Dan Neil, we had Jack Diamond starting as well. You had Pritchard starting and Stewart as well. So on paper, I thought that was more than enough. There's more than enough creativity on the pitch there to create chances. And after 15, 20 minutes into the game, I was genuinely questioning the attitude of some of those players. It was that bad, because like I say, if we were getting at them, making chances, or at least looking a bit, sort of having a bit of urgency and awareness, then I'd kind of, there'd be room for forgiveness for them, and I'd think, okay, maybe it's just not our day. But my God, some of them, they're just so lethargic, pedestrian, walking around the pitch, lack of urgency. They're literally off the ball. Everyone was just static, just stood still. And what we're just doing time and time again, and I said it on Twitter, the commentary team was saying that, Patterson was a spectator. He frigging wasn't. He probably had the most touches out of anyone on the pitch throughout the entirety of the game, or at least the first half. Because what we just kept on doing is making our way to the final third. We get it to the wings, be it on, Diamond on one side, maybe Gooch on the other, something like that. And then we just go backwards. And at times, it looked like we were bloody hell-bent. We were fighting our way back into our own third. It was mad. It was absolutely mad. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. But like I say, because there was no movement going off the ball, to be fair to the lads. But like I say, Diamond at times in the first half, he was the only one who seemed interested in breaking forward into the final third, because we'd slowly make our way to the wings in the final third. Then we'd just have a look around, no one's moving, we go backwards. At times we're even taking on Lincoln players to try and get back into our final third. It was utterly madness. And then we'd just give it back to Patterson, then he'd hoof it forward, or he'd roll it back out to Flano or Doyle, and they'd roll it forward, and then we'd go backwards again. I can't remember a shot in the opening 15, 20 minutes. I think we had a couple of crosses, and that was really it. It was absolutely horrendous, and eventually, like I say, Lincoln, they didn't actually look threatening. I'm not being sour, because they actually played their game plan, like I say, perfectly and to a T. Sit behind the ball, and then get forward when you can, and then take the chances, and that's exactly what they did. But they didn't look even remotely threatening for me, Lincoln. They really did not look threatening at all. I don't think Patto really got properly tested. And they got a free kick on the left-hand side. Gooch wasn't quick enough and alert enough to react to the quick free kick. The original shot is blocked because he played it down the left-hand side. Chris Maguire, and it's blocked. It goes back to Chris Maguire on the edge of the box. He's driven it hard and low. It's just bent into the from left to right into the sort of bottom corner, and Pato, he has to do better there. I know people say that he's short-sighted or he's unsighted, and he just kind of just parried it into the top corner. Really, it was a decent effort, but he should be doing a lot better than that. Really, really weak wrists for the keeper for me, and he should have done a hell of a lot better. But Maguire scored. Of course, he did the pantomime villain, and a lot of it has been made of his celebrations throughout the evening. And for me, as much as it's annoying, what's strange is how people are all of a sudden announcing this hatred for Chris Maguire when he's literally just doing exactly what the reason was in which we loved him in the first place. A bit of shithousery. He scored the goal, and to be fair to him, he immediately sort of apologised to Sunderland fans going like this, and then he obviously bolted over to Lee Johnson, got in his face, and sort of laughed at him and had a bit of a laugh at him. And, you get that with Chris Maguire. He's the pantomime villain. He's absolutely the pantomime villain. So why people were shocked, I don't know. I absolutely get it. I'm not saying, that I love Chris Maguire for doing it. Of course not, but it didn't anger me too much. It was absolutely expected in my opinion. And like I say, that was the reason we loved him. He just happens to be doing it in the shirt of another team. He apologised to Sunderland fans and then got in the face of Lee Johnson, and I don't blame him. He was frozen out. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have sold him or shouldn't have got rid of him or what have you, but he was frozen out by Lee Johnson. So how anyone could be even remotely shocked that he got in his face or made some kind of gesture given the character of Chris Maguire is beyond me. But either way, 1-0, and we didn't even look like we were going to get into it. I think we had one chance in that first half where, possession-wise, we dominated, absolutely dominated. But then we get into the final third, couldn't string a pass together. It's so easy for them. Like I say, against a team that sit, all men behind the ball, it's very, very hard to play against. I get that, I 100% get that. It's really hard to play against and make chances in general. But my God, did we make it easy for him. We made it so easy for him. We just rolled it along the back, so little tempo. In fact, there was no tempo to speak of throughout the game. We were just so slow, rolling it back. Sometimes we'd nick it into Dhannoo and he'd go backwards, or we'd try a diagonal ball that, as much as I love Dhannoo off him, we were going straight out of play, absolutely horrendous. Then we're going into, half time, a goal down. And one thing I will add to it, which is a bit of a strange one, obviously not an excuse, absolutely not an excuse, but there's a couple of images that have been coming across online on Twitter, basically a sort of before and after we watered the pitch. Because I did say, after about 10 minutes, I noticed that I say 10 minutes, it was immediately basically. As soon as the game kicked off, I noticed that the quality of the pitch was really, really poor, and we sort of pride ourselves a lot on, the size of our stadium. It's a gorgeous stadium. It shouldn't be in League One type thing. But that was a Sunday League standard pitch. There was a picture of the pitch before it was watered, and it looked really nice and clean, and easy to play our kind of football against. And then we absolutely watered the hell out of it, and the pitch was already for some reason cut to shreds, and then we waterlogged it. Obviously not to the extent of Pompey, a month or two back, but it was just horrible. We couldn't play our own football. It was like we absolutely sabotaged ourselves. Then in the second half, we weren't much better, weren't creating chances whatsoever, didn't deserve it. And then Chris Maguire again, he breaks forward. There was calls actually in the opening 10-15 minutes for Chris Maguire to be sent off. And, it wouldn't have surprised me if he was. It was a late challenge on Winchester. He's gone right over the ball. It's on his shin. And the referee gives a booking. It was, when you look at it in slow motion, I would not have been surprised if it was a red card. And it arguably should have been a red card. So Chris Maguire shouldn't really have been on the pitch, in my opinion. I forgot to mention that earlier on. So that's just one other thing that went against us. And then in the second half, like I say, we didn't look up to it at all. Couldn't string the pass together. And then they managed to break forward again. And it's Chris Maguire, on the counter-attack. He gets through after, some horrendous defending. And then Winchester pulls him down. Last man. He's sent off. And they get a penalty. And of course, Chris Maguire buries it. Top left-hand corner. Pato, no chance. And we're 2-0 down. Again, it's a game where we dominate possession, doing absolutely jack shit with it. We don't look creative. We look so unbelievably poor in the final third. Well, in every third. Like I say, no one seemed arsed, which was just so shocking to see. No one seemed arsed whatsoever. And so we're down to 10 men. And if anything, we only looked arsed when we did go down to 10 men. 2-0 down to 10 men, and finally we seemed to wake up and we started to put balls in the box. We were making chances here and there. And even when we had 10 men, they were still putting all men behind the ball. They were parking the bus. And eventually we did get a penalty. O'Brien got it, who come on, he got it towards the byline. He pulled it back for Pritchard. Point blank range, he's about to pull the trigger, and he's taken down from behind. Not even a booking, which is absolutely maddening for me. He's just about to pull the trigger, sort of the penalty spot sort of area, as it gets pulled back to him. and he's taken out from behind, not even a booking. But we do get the penalty, which Ross Stewart does initially miss, but the keeper only has one hand on it, and he knocks it in, kind of the rebound there to make it 2-1. And it looks like we're going to keep going for it, and we were going for it, and then we had a corner. It fell to Gooch, he's going to swipe at it on the edge of the box to try and obviously have a long distance strike, and it's completely missed the ball, which gave Lincoln the opportunity. It's 2-on-1, ball to Maguire, again, 1-on-1 with the keeper this time, and he lifts it over Patterson to make it 3-1, and that is it. Game over. And like I say, if it was a game where we were peppering that Lincoln goal, but it just wasn't going our way, then fair enough. And if we were just playing the way that we've got used to in recent weeks, in the sort of personality that we have had to our game in recent weeks, then I can take the loss. But how those lads have gone out there and give a performance like that was absolutely terrifying. It really was terrifying. It was, of course, against Wycombe. We put a lot of energy into it. Fitness will be relatively low. I get it. They'll be a bit tired. 100% get that. But like I say, it's not a new thing to play Saturday, Tuesday. It isn't a new thing. And I know we've had to deal with COVID and stuff, but I feel like we did have the players there that should have been more than capable of winning that game. And I do genuinely question the attitude of some of the players. It was almost like someone had given them the excuse to say, don't put your foot on the gas today, chill out type thing, because they were walking around. I don't think anyone hit a sprint yesterday at any point really. I think we had 10 minutes, 5 minutes when we went down to 10 men when we started running about and pressing them, whereas for 9/10 of the game we were literally just walking around. We were walking around and it was a horrendous attitude. Of course, towards the end of the game as well, Doyle, it was a bad challenge right by the touchline. And, I understand the Lincoln players getting angry, but then a lad has retaliated to Doyle after the bad challenge. He's sort of gone for Doyle, but then Lee Johnson has sort of flung himself in between him and he's put his hand on the throat of the Lincoln player, and the officials have seen it. And then Lee Johnson gets sent off as well, so it's just such a Sunderland thing, isn't it? It really is such a Sunderland thing. We get an opportunity to go top of the league, and then we lose 3-1. And in that fashion as well, getting our manager sent off, getting a player sent off, and a former fan favourite scoring a hat-trick. You don't get more of a Sunderland game than that. It's just horrendous, and I just hope the lads don't, I'm not going to throw the towel in. A lot of people have said, I felt like doing it last night. I really did feel like throwing the towel in and saying, that's it. Because if you look at the league table now, we're joint top, we're in second, but we're joint top with Rotherham. They have 2 games in hand over us. Wigan in 4th, I believe. I think it's 4th. And they have 5 games in hand over us, but they're 5 points behind us. So, like I said in the preview to the game, I would absolutely rather have points on the board, but it's definitely not looking fantastic. I think it's a little bit of a fake league table at the minute, given the games in hand. But hopefully, and as I 100% believe, I don't think Wigan are going to win all 5 games, and if they do, fair play to them. But I think there will be a few more twists and turns. Yeah, I'm definitely not throwing the towel in January. Absolutely not. But we definitely need to dust ourselves down. Hopefully, or maybe bring in a player or two by the weekend. Hopefully we get a couple of players back from COVID and maybe injuries as well. We're definitely missing the likes of Bailey Wright 100%. Hopefully he's back at the weekend, or maybe we see Trey Hume come in at the weekend. We're probably going to have to use Trey Hume at this point because of the sending off of Winchester. But yeah, so a really, really bad day at the office, but it wasn't just a bad day at the office. A lot of those players need to be questioned after that performance because it was utterly atrocious. It really was. It was sickening to see the players go from a 10-game unbeaten run to then dish out a performance like that. And I was saying it on Twitter, and some other people were saying as well. Some people, I think, a little bit harsh, saying that Lincoln were one of the worst sides they'd seen at the Stadium like this year. For me, I kind of get that sentiment, but I think Doncaster were the only side that have been worse than Lincoln. Because they didn't offer anything other than the counter-attack, and they scored every time they did, so fair play to him. But we just made it so unbelievably easy for them. We didn't test them at all. We didn't put them to the sword. We had plenty of so-called creative players on the pitch that just walked around. Horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. But we play Accrington this weekend. I will be going to the game, so I don't know whether you'll be getting a review to that or a preview, because I'm working just before the game as well. But either way, hopefully we do dust ourselves down and get a result of the weekend, because that was just such a deflating, horrible performance. But anyway, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. But if you enjoyed, hit the like button for me. It'd be massively, massively appreciated. And subscribe to the channel if you're not already to become a fully fledged member of the Sassy Army. But for now, you take care. Stay jamming.